We welcome you to the Priscilla R. Tyson Cultural Arts Center for our conversations and coffee today on this 7th day of August, 2025. I'm Ellen O'Shaughnessy, coordinator of the program. We're delighted to have with us today our guest artist, Michael Fornadley, painter and artist in Woodcut. A New York Times article review of Michael states, Michael Fornadley, a painter from Pickerington, Ohio, labors under no illusion of plausibility, since his quirky tempera tableaus depict the odd antics of characters acting out improbably, confrontations in a theater of the absurd. Michael shares that his response to that review is, taking on the New York Times, all my life I've been creating images out of my imagination. As I pointed out in the New York Times review, my work can be described as stories relating to human relationships in the context of society. Compositions filled with narrative gestures without any attempt to develop a narrative thread, drives the viewer to find a story. However, an unscripted conclusion is what they will find. Titles to my tales are literary allusions occurring after the paintings are finished, and the narrative to which the title refers is not a factor in the painting's evolution. I describe my style, as Michael says, as expression with intellect opposites, thought and emotion, and I try to balance both. I've always enjoyed the expressionists' movements in art, and my work reflects this. Art is an individual's pursuit and a gift of leaving something behind. Artists are not immortal, but art worth leaving behind reflects the individual involved, and we are all unique souls. The winners of the BJ out of the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, and Michael was one of them, share one important and enduring quality, even in their diverse artworks. That is, the ability to convey an inner strength, a conviction and belief in their art. It is brilliantly felt in the highly evocative story paintings of Michael Fornadley. Michael uses oils and egg tempera on wood and woodcuts. Distinctive to his paintings are figures running, persons pointing, eccentric objects, mysterious boxes, and usually one person in the background watching impassively. Your recent main gallery exhibit here at the Cultural Arts Center, Michael, was truly intriguing and took us on many journeys with you. So glad to have you with us today to share with us your highly evocative story paintings. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's start with slide presentation, actually. It's the first time I used this presentation, so it's, excuse me for the amateur aspects of it, but this is the first painting I just put up. This is one still in process. I'm actually still working on it. You can see the mark making, and actually the color on is really, the chroma on that computer is very high, so really a lot of it's not as colorful as it's displayed here. So, but anyway, I'll just let you take a look at this, and actually, you can. I'm good at any questions. Okay, just bring up questions because it's not.
Hold this up nice and close to you. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So any questions about this particular piece before I move to the next one?
Now, just in general, again, this is not related to any other painting that you've done. It's its own little story.
Right. Basically, I said one thing I did bring was my sketchbook. That's over, let's say that's might be maybe 25 years old. That sketch from 1992. So it shows you how I approach the paintings, and usually start with thumbnails, just quick little gestures. Basically, it's a compositional thing. You know, it's just, oh, this would be cute. Let's put that there, like the bunny rabbits. You know, they're still in the show on this one, and I have to adjust the painting overall to sort of like balance it out. You know, make sure the characters somehow relate to each other. As Aline mentioned earlier, the rabbits are looking back at this guy smoking a joint. This was called Go Ask Alice. It was sort of like a take on, you know, Alice in Wonderland type thing. So I do a lot of stuff like that, and specifically, I used to do Moby Dick. There's a lot of things about Ahab. You'll see that further on. But that's my approach. And basically, it's a compositional thing, because I'm doing different perspectives on everything. All the tables are in different perspective. Horizon line is just sort of a suggestion, really. But they're close enough to not throw everything off. You know, it's not bad drawing. It's just oh, that'd be nice. Just use this reference. And in this one here, I started putting little. That's a photograph of an old painting of mine that I put back there, and it might change in the future because it's still in process. But these are wood strips right here, as you can see right there around the frame. So I'm starting to apply wood strips of more attachments, because it is wood construction. So I get glue and do whatever you want to on it.
Did you draw like this when you were in college? Is that
actually, yeah.
You want to repeat that question?
Did you draw in this style when you were going to art college?
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you here. There's one picture that I did from 1975 when I was 20 years old in the military. One of the first paintings I ever done. It's not coming up, and you'll see that there's no change as far as subject matter. It's like it was sort of inbred. You know, it's sort of nature of each one of us, and we don't know why. But I continue on with that kind of thing. Oh, you know, characters and stuff like that. Now, as far as CCAD, I had 4 years fine arts at CCAD. Before that, I was in the military. So I went 76 to 80 CCAD. So they taught me the fundamentals of how to draw. So and then I fell in love with the German Expressionist movement. It's pretty much Beckmann, Kirchner, Egon Schiele drawing, which I admire like crazy. But so that just influenced me further on. So, but actually, the sketchbook would probably be interesting. So we'll do that later. Okay, next.
Any counterculture stuff from the 70s, like maybe R. Crumb or anything like that as an influence? Any counterculture influences from the 70s?
Basically, I was in the military during the 70s. Went in 72 at 17 years of age. I went through a Jesus freak movement back in 74. So a lot of the religious or spiritual things involved with that. So that plays into my personality. And then I was always rebellious. You know, if I could upset somebody, I would do it. That's just me. So some of my imagery is kind of disturbing, but if you really analyze it, it's not. I mean, it's not. There's spirit and soul involved with painting or any kind of art form. And when people see my stuff, they don't see that I'm a mean person. They just say, you know, this guy's pretty playful or fun or doesn't give a rip, you know? Whereas you say, for example, some of the stuff that's happening in the New York art scene, displays of figurative stuff right now, is very mean-spirited and angry and pornographic, frankly. And unfortunately, that's what sells now in the market. It always has been. So that's why I stay away from any kind of like nudity or anything like that, even though I could draw pretty well. So I'll go to the next one here. This is my studio. Now this is on second floor of a 2-story garage in Baltimore, Ohio. Okay, it's a perfect space. We moved into it 15 years ago. I saw this place and said, I got to buy this house. We bought it. So it was a reach, but we've been there 15 years, and that's the dirty part of it. I sort of took black and white imagery because it was pretty dirty at the time I took the shots, but I just show you how I work. I'm not a neat artist. I'm sloppy. Better than most, but still sloppy. Okay, let's go next.
Stuff in that box at the bottom.
Oh, that's old lettering, stuff like that, like he was planning on using. If you go, let's go back. You mean this stuff here? Yeah. Yeah, that's old wood lettering I was going to put on paintings, but I never used it. It was just sort of like just offhand. I got that at a garage sale or just estate sale out in Baltimore one day. So they were in a box. There's my power saw and a couple of paintings in the back hanging. So I'll go to the next one here. Oh. Sorry.
Are all the paintings on panels?
Yeah, wood. Yeah, I work strictly wood. Early on, I did canvas. The big ones, there's a couple of canvas ones. I'll show you the one there. So
I looked at the show and there's like you use like plywood.
actually plywood, on wood cradled. You can look at the back of the smaller ones. It's pretty much the same principle with the large, with the large ones.
That up for us to demonstrate? Let's see that.
It'd be similar to this. Cradle wood. I mean, this is pretty heavy for a small painting, but it was just, I don't want to spend a lot of materials on stuff because you know how expensive stuff is now. So I do the cheapest rate.
It's a very nice piece, and it looks like there's not a lot of the marks that's in that one, and as I saw some of the paintings on there.
What?
A technique. The other stuff feels a little rougher, a little more graphic, a little more gritty in your face.
This is actually a print similar to this, glued onto a wood surface. And I did cold wax and then scraped into it. So I couldn't scrape too much into it because you'll lose, the paper comes up and looks raggedy. So that's basically cold wax, varnish, paint into with casein. I used casein, that's it. Pretty much oil sometimes. I used to do egg tempera, they were fun, but once I got into casein, that was it. I couldn't change. And oils, of course, I always love oils. Okay, this is my stairs going down to the first floor where my cars are. So you can see them along the wall. It's like an art gallery there. Okay, this is another one in the studio. This painting's from Walter King. He was a friend of mine in art school. He retired a couple years ago from CCAD teaching. And then there are woodcuts here. There's all my sketchbooks, those ones there on the side. So definitely wasn't just a sloppy picture of my working. Okay, next one. This is toward there's a barn door there where I get my light at. So I put a drywall there to basically make sure my paintings aren't warped. Because I do look a wood panel, and I hung a couple that were warped real bad. It was sort of embarrassing. So I said, oh, okay. This was a couple months ago, so it's gotten more cluttered. Okay. Here's the Moby Dick reference, Ahab. This is 60 inches by 48, I think. And it's another narrative work, which is still in process. I like ships, always like ships, and I like the Moby Dick character with a peg leg. And then the rest of the stuff is sort of like, you make your own story, and we'll go from there. Because I have no idea what I'm doing sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you plan out your colors or just intuitively paint as you go along?
No, I don't plan colors. I just intuitively. Basically, it's the same color scheme. Basically, flesh tones pretty much make the same. I do a lot of stumbling or scraping into the pieces. So there's layers upon layers. You'll see that in the future. All those scratch marks are I'm using wood carving tools. nails, anything I find to scratch into the surface is exposed underneath pigment, because there might be 3 or 4 layers underneath there. And then it has a nice effect, sort of like, it adds to the texture and the activity of the stuff. And, you know, sometimes I like to say, I go overboard with the activity, but a lot of times it works. Like you see the passages there, particularly in the middle, like there's a curved passage with the marks are really heavy, where the dark areas are. And basically you scratch into it. You don't know what you're getting into sometimes. So you scratch into it, oh, that's a nice color, I'll leave it. Or make a shape out of it. I mean, everything's a process, everything's moving. As long as it's in my possession, this thing can change, okay? It's not dead art, just, you know, because
Are you asking us to imagine what's going on, or can you tell us what's happening there?
it's compositional tricks. That's all I'm doing. I'm putting a horizon line. I thought, oh, this is cute. I'll put a pirate. Oh, Ahab's showing up in the back. Okay, put a harpoon. Put the ship back there. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the ship. The plate, I have no idea why he's holding the plate. The figures, they're relating to each other. There's one lady looking to the right for something, and then she's holding something which I haven't figured out what it is. A lot of this stuff is similar. A lot of tables, rocking chairs I like, ships I like. So I stick pretty much to the thing. The square above the guy's head was the compositional thing. I thought, okay, I'll just add that to it. So I scraped into the, so all that is scraping. There's no paint. It's just scraped into the surface showing the color underneath. So it's still, like say, everything can be moving here and there. So that's that one.
Ellen was reading the review. I think I picked up that you titled these after finish.
Yeah, I title after only when I want to show. If they don't show, I don't have to put they're still untitled. So I haven't figured this to untitled. This is untitled yet. So it's still. I'm asking other artists on Facebook, what should I title it? And a couple of them threw out stuff in there. Said, I'll probably use it eventually. But it's untitled till something kicks in your mind, because the title is very important for a narrative work, very important. So it's not like non-objective or abstract stuff where you could put a number on it and go from there, because there's no storyline, there's no narrative, there's nothing going on as far as what the viewer sees. That's why sometimes this stuff is pretty disturbing to people, because you have to sit in front of the thing. Because I submit a lot in exhibitions, and I like watching people walk past my work, and they're confused. So it's like, okay, I wish I understand, because like I said, I have no idea what I'm doing most of the times there.
Titles. Once you title it, is that the title, or does it have?
Yeah. Unless I title it. If it doesn't get into a show, I change the title, because, everything's in, it's process. Once it leaves my hands, or a show puts in a show, I have to stick with the title. And some of the titles I picked in the previous, I sort of regret. I said, oh, why did I put it there? So I'm stuck with it for the next lifetime.
How many hours you got in this piece?
Oh, man, it's still in process. You're probably looking... I don't work like 3 hours at a time. I usually go out there 2 hours here, 2 hours there. Now I have more time since I retired 2 years ago, so I get back into this stuff seriously.
It's hard to tell how much time you have in this already. Because
I have a hard time selling. These weren't meant to sell. These are made expression. These are. I mentioned that to Sandy. She asked, and what's your objective of these? And I said, basically, they are my children. I'm created, similar to a woman producing a baby. These are my babies. I don't want them to go to a bad home or to be demeaned or considered cheap or whatever on that. So
a great statement, but I'm asking, how much time do you have in? How many hours have you put into creating this piece so far?
Okay, let's say construction, from the construction to the actual, doing actual work on it, I would say maybe 12 hours, if that. I'm quick. I'm very fast because it doesn't take much. Once I get the drawing down, it's just a matter of layering now. And I draw strictly out of my imagination. There's no reference material.
This one says some of the images are like indeterminate. You can go back and forth. Like your pirate could be going like a fireman going down a pole. Or like you have an old woman in a rocking chair. You have a young woman, or the woman on the right could be holding something horizontal like a gun. There. I mean, the images in your mind go back and forth between what you have and what it triggers in your mind.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that will change. Like say this, what she's holding is no idea. It's not completed yet. Could be a plate, could be a gun. Eventually, I have some with guns on it. I say, oh, this is cute. I'll put a gun there. I don't, Like I said, I'm not worried about offending anybody or disturbing anybody. Otherwise, you won't do nothing. So you got to shake people up. It's too much cute stuff going around, fluff stuff. That's actually selling. It's terrible. Okay, next.
Detail do you put into your drawings? How detailed are they?
Oh, not much. You look at the thumbnails there. They're just quick sketches, and then I refine them when I start painting into them. So it is, like I say, I was taught pretty well in CCAD how to draw the figure. So I could draw on my imagination. I don't have to rely on any reference material, photographs, magazines, stuff like that. So, and that freedom, it makes you to make paintings or drawings like this, because you're not worried about what's looking like, And then, like I say, this is a woodcut, the prophet. This is from a painting, but if you get up, you figure out the drawing behind this stuff. There's a lot of good drawing on there. There's a lot of directional cuts on the woodcut. The figures are pretty well drawn, pretty well. Like I say, this is on soft pine. There's a sample of it over there, of another one. So that's the prophet is pretty much the same. There's a prophet over here with a cloak. The guy supporting there is just sort of weird imagery. I thought that'd be cute. Very Beckman influence back then as far as the imagery.
It's like walked into a room that's like, what? Let's go over.
It is disturbing, but it's not.
All rooms are kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like you don't know if anybody in.
Well,
People do it.
yeah. Well, there's one thing I like about this thing is the drawing. It seems everything fell into place on this one, because I did a couple versions of the prophet, but this one here, the face, particularly like the face of the prophet on the left-hand side. There's a lot of nice little cuts drawing going on there. So, next. Okay, this is one of my radical pieces. What's it called? No, it's Money for Paint. This is a huge one. This is like 72 inches by 60 or 50. And this is oil. I used a palette knife to scrape right into the old surface. I don't think this has ever been shown. It's a big one. It's my it's my comment on money and art and what you have to do, and just being sort of quirky about it. So
You say there's layer upon layer. Do you paint like the whole board with a certain color and then layer over that and then scratch into it?
no, basically there's several layers of different paints. This is oil. I might have put some conceal on top of that and then scraped into it. You could do that because it's on a solid surface, so you could do that. Varnish it, and then you just basically mark making. This is early piece, so I used a fork a lot. So you see the fork crossings on here in the back here. Like I said, I got a palette knife and just went into it real heavy. So it's a very thick surface as you see it up close.
Did you have the show downstairs before they cut the new one up? Was that one here?
Yeah, the one last month I did. Yeah. Yeah. So I try to keep those, the ones I showed down there, I got everything different on this one just to show presentation, something different. But you know, if you've seen the show, you can see what kind of materials I was using and how heavy those suckers are.
There's a great quote from Jim Jarmusch. He's a filmmaker, and he talks about influences. So, as a filmmaker, of course, he has influences from other filmmakers, but also he gets influences from books, movies, nature, everywhere. So I'm just kind of curious, when you start sketching and trying to work out ideals, is it just from you, or are there outside influences?
There's a lot of borrowing from, I guess, as all artists borrow certain things from particular, you know, movements and stuff like that. So I'm influenced by the German Expressionists. I'm different from them. If you compare Beckman to something like this, you'll see a major difference because my space is more, I used diagonals to create more space, it's more of on a stage level, whereas Beckman would push you right in your face, you know. But it'd be similar to, I don't know what you would describe. I'm thinking of contemporaries, and I can't think of figurative work as a group composition. There's a couple artists that are doing it that are pretty well known, but I look at their stuff and it doesn't. You know, I'm a totally different animal than they are because a lot of it has to do with politics, and then I mentioned the sexuality involved with most of that stuff. You know, so that's.
Small painting kind of makes me think of, if I'm pronouncing his name right, Giorgio de Chirico.
Oh yeah, you're surrealist.
Yeah. And most of your paintings, or at least the ones I'm looking at right now, has a stage feeling, like it could be like a theatrical stage or like a stage in a television show where the cameras can move around and stuff.
Yeah.
You can see the rooms, but then you can see it, like maybe the audience or the studio around it,
Yeah.
right? So it does has this theatrical feel to all of the works.
Yeah, that's true. It's sort of like a theatrical thing. It's like I eliminate characters, props, anything that doesn't work. It's sort of like firing them. If like say it's as far as the space goes, basically a lot of this stuff is just doing tricks. Creating space, the walls particularly, creating space, drawing the eye a particular area. There's a lot of tricks if you study the old masters of how they did stuff, man. It's crazy. If you look at some of those old, forget it. They knew what they were doing back then.
I just love the colors when you walk in here, it just brings life into the feelings and colors.
You mean the one down the exhibition last?
Yeah, that was
It's I never thought of myself as a colorist. I'm more of a linear, line work because I drew fairly well.
It's the colors that you use is really brings a lot of feelings.
It's colors are never really a deep concern for me. I'm not a Maltese guy. I look at this stuff and some of the appeals to Maltese that the color, because subject matter bores me, okay, all Maltese, okay, but the color brings you in, or the smartness to design, and that's pretty much what my first approach is. Some artists already mentioned that I'm a good colorist and said, okay, I'll take it, why not? Maybe I am, maybe I grew up to be colorist, maybe I could explore it more. But when I do Cassine, there's a lot of CADs. There's a lot of CADs in them. Orange, CAD, yellow, red, So I'm more or less enjoying the chroma behind it, using that kind of stuff. Stay away from the earth tones.
Where do you get your ideals for the emotions and stuff that in your paintings and stuff?
From the sketchbook. Actually, I got a sketchbook. You can take a look later. Go through it. Help yourself.
Maybe one of them up for us.
Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. Let me put this down.
Pass it around.
You could, yeah. It's just a sketchbook, so it's nothing like artistic about it. Do you want to go there? So you go through there and just pass it around. But basically, it start off with that kind of composition. And that is a diary, because a lot of my kids' artwork's in there when they were young. So it's sort of like it's a great thing to do if you're an artist. Do a sketchbook, and this is like 25 years old. So it's like, it brings back history of what we were thinking at the time.
And sometimes when you're in the sketchbook, you're trying to correct something before it goes onto the canvas.
The sketchbook was early when I went to CCD. I got out of CCD. The only thing I knew how to do is paint a naked woman. I draw a naked woman. That was it. That's all the training they gave you, okay? Fine arts, yeah, fine arts, that was it. Unless you're in the illustration, you have to expand your imagination. So I made a resolution to do a drawing or 2 drawings a day in a sketchbook when I left back in 1980. So I have a sketchbook from 1980 when I was just out of art school where I drew, and basically they're all characterizations because I'm not sure what style I was going to go. I mean, I had no clue about being original. So it was sort of like, it was an exercise to push me out of that state of mind and be actually original, which is very hard for art students coming out of school, even grad school, because you unfortunately, I've never had to make a living doing this stuff, art. Forced a year CCD, I worked while I was still in school, went on the GI Bill, old GI Bill, and worked for a company for 46 years, just retired a couple years ago, okay, to raise a family. Because I knew very well I couldn't make a decent living doing art, and particularly the style I got. I don't even hang this stuff in my own house sometimes.
You said your style hadn't changed much, but I see you had to make some good grades when you were going to CCAD, and it wasn't doing this.
No.
You actually show some different sensibilities in your study of the human figure, for example. Anatomy is not the simplified, if I may say, simplified and somewhat exaggerated ways of expressing yourself.
I could draw. There's no doubt about. Even in art school, I was blowing everybody away. I was a fine artist. Even the illustrators, the top-notch illustrators, back in the 80s, you had some top-notch high school people coming in. It took me a while to catch on, but once I caught on, it was like, I had a great teacher too, Nathaniel Larrabee at CCAD, and pretty much he just, sort of guided me in particular,
I'm curious, Michael, why did you say your style had changed from college to now?
I'll show you. Just wait, you're gonna get it. I mean, I matured since college, but as far as the subject matter or the imagination, it didn't change from when I was first started painting.
Expression of it, though, Cherries. That's
Yeah, because you got the skills. Now here's okay, go ahead. But this is 1975. I was 20 years old, in the military. Never drew, never picked up a pencil, never did anything, and I started painting like this. So this is an explanation. Wait till Eric comes back. But this is an explanation of where my subject matter hasn't changed in 50 years. 50 years, and it's just progressed because of my schooling, and I'm doing it for a long time.
Can you tell us a little more about how this became your first? What a strong dream life you must have. It just poured out of you without
It was
lessons in drawing.
Yeah.
It just came to you.
It was basically, I was in the military, and I went through some trouble in the military. I was a rascal, and I got busted, and I was getting close to getting kicked out, and then somehow there was a person that came in who was a Jesus freak, and actually I got into that movement, and I started painting right after that. So it's sort of like, and then that saved me from being booted out of the military, because the counselor that I was attending, I was a smart aleck, 19-year-old smart aleck. You wouldn't believe how I thought I was smarter than everybody else, which, but Yeah, I changed a lot since. But anyway, but that, like I say, that's a history. That's one of the first couple of paintings I've done. And this is just, I think this is oil. I think I actually tackled oil because I didn't know the difference between oil and acrylic. So I went into it on board and actually got data on the back. So I sort of like, you could tell that sort of like similar to the perspective, the horizon lines is different. Of course, I blew it over here because you got an ocean over here and the sky over there. I mean, it's obviously an amateur piece, but in flag's kind of wacky too. Forget about the figures. But it overall, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. You can see the flow of the eye, composition and thing. And the color, too, might be very similar to what I do now.
The movement of it is wonderful.
Yeah.
Do you look at a lot of art?
No. None. I just...
When you painted this? Were you like overseas?
I was in Grand Forks, North Dakota for 4 years, missile base. That's why I had to pick up painting, because the winters were like brutal. Okay, this is the woodcut. It was a sample over there, so I don't need to show that one. Oh, okay. Okay, we'll go, but yeah, that's a good idea.
And Mary, wife of, anytime you want to make a comment, give you the microphone.
Yeah, this is a woodcut. You could take a look at it. Basically, it's soft pine, pretty simple thing. The drawing had to be, when you do a woodcut, the drawing has to be in place, and you have to know what you're doing, because every little cut, if you make an error, you'll never recover. I mean, you can fake it with a little black ink and stuff like that, but pretty much, and it's very brutal. It's not very, like say the grain, I had to go against the grains a lot of times. It's not like you're using real woodcut material as far as, so it was cheap and it was large, so I just fooling around with it. And that was a nice relief from painting. It's sort of like physically, you get into it, it's sort of a nice relief because you don't have to worry about color, you're just doing value systems. And like similar to here too. Okay, this is actually 1991. This hung in a museum, actually the first show that I had at a museum where they showed Columbus Art League juried shows there. And so that is Kick the Yellow Dog. This is canvas. This is large. This is 70, no, this was 60 by 50. I used 2x4s as supports because I was so cheap I didn't want to spend the money. So it's, this is, like say, very awkward drawing, but it works for some reason.
You're fond of little animals, pets. Huh?
Yeah, I like the dogs. A lot of dogs show up. I haven't got a cat in there yet. I think I got one cat working on one, but yeah.
You give them personalities.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, most of mine look like people because I don't use a reference material. I just strictly draw on my head. So, long animals. Now, this is a close-up of actually a painting previously. It shows you how brutal I cut into the work and used the colors and stuff. Very like a Rolt, George Rolt. So it's similar to that, the black lines. If you get, you get up close, there's all kinds of different layers. And a lot of that stuff is also is wood cutting. I cut into the wood. Actually, the wood sometimes shows through. It doesn't bug me. I just use it, so it's no big deal. And the scrapings, of course, and all that stuff. And so basically, that's just the detail.
So reminds me of stained glass windows.
It's George Rolt influence.
Reminds me of that assets in it. Buyers out of here would integrate it
Like stained glass windows.
Well, that's just a
Cindy said.
portion of the painting. It's very small otherwise. I mean, it's supposed to be.
You could do blow-ups and they would stand on their own.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it probably easily, actually, you could, like I say, a lot of the bigger stuff, there's a lot of activity going on. So it's very, you don't see the subtleties behind some of the drawing. When you get up close like this, you can see that eye socket's in there. That drawing's in there. That nose is in there. That mouth's in there. That chin's there. The hair's in there, you know, eyebrows. Eyeballs actually work with the red reflection on the left-hand side off the eyeball and then white on the right. So it's just, you know, just sort of a play on drawing. Okay, this is a newer one. I'm working on this thing, sort of having fun with it. It's this, I haven't figured out the theme yet, so it's so that's the carving into it. And I'm starting to use little props, like for example here. This is actually wood. That's the gun thing with the pop thing. I'm sort of doing a satire on pop because I can't stand the pop movement. Andy Warhol was a joke, frankly, and so was Dolly. Okay, anybody after him during the pop movement were really bad artists, frankly. Can't draw, no composition, no theme, no soul, no spirit. It's just commercial stuff. It sells. Okay. Well, that's the world we live in. Here's another one with the dogs. My favorite motif. This is still in transition. Still working out the thing. The scrapings and stuff like that. So proportions are a little off and now that I look at it, so I'm going to figure out. I might get rid of this gentleman over here. He might be too big for the.
So, Michael, are there reoccurring characters or in your paintings or are they meant to be different? Are they influenced from actual people that you know, or are they more like just kind of archetypes? Where do these characters come from?
They're drawn out of my imagination, so they're just pretty generic. Even the women are built like Amazons, most of them. You know, they're not very feminine. You know, so I sort of balance the genders because you know, is actually this one here originally going to call Mary with blonde hair because that figure over there on the right looks like Mary. So it says she doesn't have blonde hair.
Your painting has got more like a dream type of alien cells.
Surrealism or dreamlike is possible. I'm never a fan of surrealism. That's a good point. I'll think about that because I haven't really thought about it too much.
It's just got this demand, you know, this feeling of a dream.
The lights out.
Yeah. Well, the color on this camera is very chroma. Okay, so it's really picking up the yellows on this painting, but it's not as chromatic as this piece actually shows on the screen. Just to keep that in. Let's see what's next. Okay, this is where that easel that I work at, one of them. I got two of them. This is an old drawing table that I converted into an easel. And it's easy because you can lay it flat and you could carve into the thing or work on this one is still, I fixed this thing up. So a lot of this stuff is old, bad craftsmanship as far as framing and stuff. I'm trying to get it presented and then do some line work. Like I say, a painting is not finished till it leaves my hands. So I'm working on probably 200 pieces at one time. I might just drag one off the wall, say, oh, I'm going to work on this thing. So it's a great thing when you don't sell. It is, yeah. I mean, it really is, because Picasso, some of his stuff he got sold off the easel was terrible. And I bet he wished he had it back so he could fix it. So.
Do you paint every day?
Pretty much, but not that long.
Every day.
Pretty much, except for I don't do it long. Some days you feel like it. Of course, you got other things to do. There's life in general. I mean, we got house, kids, dogs to take care of, et cetera, et cetera. Like I said, I just retired a couple of years ago, so I'm starting to get used to having all the time in the world. So.
And your son was going to come and help with the flash drive, but he wasn't able to be here today.
Yeah.
So tell us about your kids and part of this.
Oh, okay. Well, you see some of the sketches from the kids probably in the book here and there. You see those. One's 45 and one's 38. My daughter is 45. She's at Franklin Park Conservatory with her husband Peter. And then my son is Luke. He's 38. He lives down Wonder Bread Lofts apartments downtown. So he helps me. He helps me a lot. He's a computer whiz, you know. Yeah, but I hate to ask him questions. He says, "Do it yourself," and I said, "I don't have time for this." I don't. I'm a different generation. I don't know if you like say I turned 70 this past December, so I'm barely going on with this stuff.
We'd love to hear from Mary. By his side, all of this amazing art.
I wouldn't have spoken to him if I saw him when he was in art school. He looked like a snazzy person. I wouldn't have spoken to him. But his sister knew my friend, and that's how we met. And he's very prideful and also humble. And some friends or church ask him to paint town puppies or fish in the bathroom at church and do it. They just say, don't they get scared for silver. And our daughter does ceramics, and she did very well at the arts festival. And our son's strong and a computer, so he bouts a lot. And so that's about it. We have a little Italian greyhound named Sophia Marie, and a 57-pound mini bulldog named Winston Turkey. So that's a family.
So what kind of work did you do? Thank you for
I
sharing.
really like your approach to the framing, or looking at you. Some of the border that it's like a creamy color, almost like coffee.
You brought up a good point, because the framing is part of the piece. It's like I read an article, actually, there's some guy in Chicago who used to do framing professionally at the museum in Chicago, and he's a young artist. He's 40, but he's younger than me. But he frames his stuff. He makes his own frames. George Rolt did the same thing. He would paint the frame around it because it's part of the composition. It gives a breathing space, actually. It's sort of like where you get a certain heaviness to the piece. It sort of expands it out, so it adds to the piece. So that's.
Or like the borders are talking about, where it's almost a pasta working. Is that just paint?
That's plaster. Plaster, and then I paint on top of it. Yeah. So that works pretty good. It chips a little easy, but it's easy to patch up. I'm not a neat artist anyway. I'm just sloppy as I'll get up. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Any other questions or anything in reference? You said where I worked at? I worked for 46 years at UPS. I was a Teamster for 46 years. And I was involved with labor stuff too, which Mary says don't get into. Because those.
Maybe we saw some of the conflictual feelings in your characters. Huh?
Yeah. Well, basically, it's sort of like I say, there's a rebellious type attitude I have toward authority, but unless it's really good authority, because I don't put up with stuff at all. Actually, none of us should. Yeah.
I'm a movie fan, and some of my favorite.
Some of my favorite directors are David Lynch, Bergman, and what I like about those movies is when I leave the theater, I have questions.
Oh.
And I like the fact that you're not interested in people understanding the narrative. You want them to have questions, and I think that's the best kind of art. It's the one that kind of makes you engage with the work.
I remember going to the first showing of Elephant Man back in 1980 at the Bexley or Drexel Theater. I don't know what, I think it was there. And actually, I watched it and it influenced me quite a bit. And actually, people are standing up, clapping. You know, I said, man, the movie hit on all levels, everything, acting, directing, the film making. Was it black and white? I think it was black and white. Yeah, but it was amazing acting. Great. Like I say, film does influence. Any visual thing will influence you because I'm visually, that way, Math, I had no skills in. I'm not interested in a lot of stuff. I should have learned how literature or poetry. That's one thing I regret not learning. So the film has definitely influenced me, especially Monty Python humor, stuff like that. So all of that. Also, my mother was British. She was born in Liverpool. Dad was in the Air Force, married her, came over. So a lot of that Monty Python satirical humor's in me, which causes a lot of trouble, because sometimes I don't know the person I'm talking to, and I say something off the wall, and they're saying, he doesn't, where's he coming from? This type of thing. So I got to watch that. So you're influenced by everything. Your upbringing, who you are, and stuff like that. So.
I'm curious what it's like inside your head. Is it full of people? Is your head full of people and figures and conflicts and weird things?
I'm not really. I'm not a weird person. I really am. I'm very normal. I mean,
Well said. Very well said.
Well, okay, let's go with, I'm very,
There you go.
well, we had a couple flaky artists, in town that are sort of like, you wonder where they're coming from, And I'm not a word person. I'm more of, like I say, when I never submitted, I submitted one time to a grant down to, I don't know what it was, back in 2002, and I hated it. And I wanted to fail because I was going to, it's like, I don't want to really deal with these people. So he had to do all the slides. It was back then you had to take slides, and I was a terrible photographer. So I took slides of some stuff, and so I submitted it, and of course got rejected. And I said, oh well, whatever. So it's like let's see, what was the subject matter again? What was it? I'm off course here now. Who brought that? What?
Weird thoughts.
Weird. Okay. Yeah, my mind is.
Please just eat sweet. Eat sweet paint. Eat. Easier that eat sleep.
Paint.
Is it sweet? Answer the question. Not no. We don't know if he's even. Yeah. Thank you.
Really, I don't think I'm that weird. I know. I know.
That New York.
I hate dressing like an artist. That's the thing. You know what that means.
He's British. They, dogs and horses. They're just British. Your job.
British are a different breed. If you study their history, their arts and their literature and everything about them is kind of like off the wall. Sense of humor, etc. So, yeah.
But the New York Times indicated in that review that you had a poetry within you. You were speaking in the human way, but poetically. And so we got involved in some of the conflicts, and you say you didn't know poetry, but they are wonderfully poetic.
Oh.
Conflict.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it thoroughly from that point of view.
Yeah.
It isn't necessarily literal, but analogously poetry.
I appreciate that. Yeah, everybody's gifted in certain areas. No one's perfect in everything. There's no such thing as perfect art, or art's better than other art. It's just, it's let's see, what would be good? Yeah, but I approach it as I'm on this earth for a certain amount of time. That's it. Okay. If supposedly making it in the art scene is too much into the what's happening in the New York scene or stuff like that, and I thought that was a joke anyway, because you know technically that stuff is kind of lousy anyway, most of it, but it's one of those things where you have to think you're successful as an artist, even if you don't sell, if you don't get no recognition, you're successful as a person. Okay, so that's more important than actually making millions of dollars on a painting, which is, you know, a piece of junk, you know. But unfortunately, this is what artists have to deal with.
When I was looking at your show when it was downstairs, it made me think of a peculiar version of Norman Rockwell.
Oh, Norman Rockwell. Okay.
Where he took, common events and put a message into them. And you have a message whether you write it or not. Your pictures have messages. So I just thought he had so many different versions of the same.
Well, Norman, he draw pretty good. He's an illustrator, you know. I mean, he's a professional illustrator, so he could draw really well. I know.
Well, Michael Fornadley, this was marvelous. We thank you for taking us on your journey. Wonderful. Thank you for being here.